Hi, everybody. Janice
Yeah.
Sanders and Alix Rowland here on The Art of Planting Your Life. We're really glad to be back with you to discuss the topic today of the 4 flowers. If you have done much DCI, you've probably heard of the 4x4. We've covered some of the 4x4 already, and we're going to do a little quick review of the 4x4, and then we're going to focus on one of the 4x4, which we haven't talked about, which is the 4 flowers, and how you can use knowledge about the 4 flowers in your life to have more success and to be a more effective business person, family person, creative person, whatever you want in your life. The 4 flowers is going to be really important. So, Janice, can you tell us just a little bit about the 4x4 for someone who's never heard this term? Four by
Yeah.
four. What is this
Well,
4x4?
well, there are four different ways that seeds come about. But the first one we learn about in DCI is the 4 coffee shop steps. And if you remember, we've reviewed this before, is the first step of the 4 coffee shop steps is to decide what it is you want in one short, very clear sentence, and then to find someone who wants what you want and to help them get it. And that plants the seeds for you to have it. And then the third step is to just do it. Meet them in a coffee shop, help them with what they want to get. And fourth, do your coffee meditation. Be really happy about what you did. So that's the 4 steps. And then the second of the 4x4 is the 4 laws of seeds.
Right.
The first law is like makes like. So if I want a watermelon, I have to plant a watermelon seed. If I want business success, I have to help someone else in their business. And then the second law of seeds grow. So I helped somebody with their business one time, and those seeds are going to grow and grow. But really, to be really strong in this, we have to do it perpetually, continually. It makes it stronger. And then the third law of seeds is if I don't help someone in the coffee shop, I won't get a result. Fourth step is if I do help someone in the coffee shop, I must get a result. And then we covered the 4 powers in an earlier episode of, you understand that if the pen's coming from me from something I did in the past, then, if we really think about it, we've probably done some bad things in the past and planted some seeds that are blocking our progress. So the 4 powers are how we can scorch those bad seeds so that they don't ripen, or that they ripen too early to create a really drastic result. Do you want to review those, Alix?
Sure, I can review the 4 powers. So as Janice said, we use them when either we did something that we know is not the result we want to get later, or if we're having business problems or some kind of block, like we keep getting sick, for instance. That would be an example of something that happens over and over again in our lives. And we know that we must have the seeds for illness, for instance. So those are first, recalling the pen is the first of the 4 powers, recalling where things are coming from. And then the second is having what we call intelligent regret, that we know that if we're experiencing a result, we did something in the past and we don't want to keep experiencing that result. Or if I just got done yelling at my partner, then right away I know, shoot, I don't want to experience that result in the future. So that's intelligent regret. Then the third is to stop doing this thing that you regret, right? We want to have a short, measurable time frame that I'm not going to yell back at my partner, for instance. And then the last one is to do something to balance the scales. So we call that, I don't know.
Antidote, or, like taking
right.
the medicine. Like if you yelled at your partners, then, find somebody that you can say something sincerely nice to.
That's right.
And
Doing the opposite.
Yeah. And it's really cool that you mentioned that time, stopping, and that you mentioned that you stopping and not creating more bad karma by saying, I'll never do that again. But like sending your partner off to the store so you won't yell at him for 2 hours while he's gone, or something like that, Yeah.
So those are the first of the 3 4x4. And now you're getting the idea that what this 4x4 is about is it's about being a gardener. It's really the heart of the art of planting your life. It's knowing, what seeds you want to plant, how to manage the seeds. Maybe we could call that seed management.
I like that.
So this fourth
Take a
one
note.
that we're going to focus on today is called the four flowers. And the four flowers help us to understand the results that we get from the seeds we plant. It's about the results. That's why, oh, we're wearing flowered shirts today. Understanding more deeply what kind of results you get when you do an action or words or even our thoughts, right? Each of those plants seeds. So there's four different kinds of results you can get. The first one is very similar to the four laws of karma. The first one there is that the result's going to be similar. So we know if you plant a watermelon, then you're going to get a watermelon plant. And hopefully, if you water the seeds right and everything, you're going to get a bunch of watermelons. So like makes like. Now, the second one is something that we haven't talked about in any of the other 4x4 yet, and it's a really important one. It's the habit. When we plant seeds repeatedly, we get a habit, we get into a rut of doing something the same way again. And let's use the example of eating unhealthy food. You know, you eat a couple potato chips, and what happens? You know, you want a couple more. And pretty soon the whole bag of potato chips is gone, and then you want them again the next day. So what we do becomes a habit. One of the places in DCI where this is covered most thoroughly is in, I think we decided it's level 6, peeling away your addictions. Yeah. That whole level is about how we get in these cycles of addiction and how things are perpetuatedly and repeated again and again in our life. The reason I wanted to talk about this subject today, and Janice and I decided to talk about this subject today, is actually the third flower. The third flower is very powerful, and what it says is that what we do today creates the environment we live in our future. So what we do now creates our environment around us. It creates the kind of family that we live in. It creates the feeling at work, if it's a friendly work environment or if it's a hostile work environment. It creates the town. You know, is our town fighting? Janice lives in a small town. Sometimes things get pretty intense in that small town. Or does our town have a feeling of peace? I think Janice is saying it's coming from her. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So we'll talk more about the third flower, but let's just go on to what the fourth flower is, and then we'll come back more to the third flower. So the fourth flower is that the things that we do accumulate and they create our next big transition. So an example of this is meeting or having a first date with your life partner. And there's these big transition seeds. And in fact, the first date that I had with my life partner was also the day I broke an addiction. I stopped drinking because I needed to stop drinking alcohol. So that was like a big transition. These two things happened in one day. And when I think back on that, that's really amazing. So I had this big opening, you know, major transition. So Janice, can you talk a little bit about the third flower for us now?
Yeah, the third flower, how it creates our environment. There's all, like, I really have to look at this because if something's going on at work where there's a little disharmony, then I have to think, I really always have to go back to where I might have planted that disharmony. Like, have I had divisive speech so that it creates divisiveness at work where people are, you know, feeling competitive or wanting more of my attention? You know, how have I planted it? So I'm always just self-mining to find where I've planted the seeds to have the results that I'm not enjoying. So it is a small town I live in, and there is often some conflict here because I think we're so small and so isolated. I'd like to say that's the reason for the conflict, but it's not. There's other places that are very small and isolated, and they're beautiful and peaceful. But my town, sometimes, you know, the firemen are arguing with the ambulance association and on and on. So what is the cause of that? Where have I myself created the seeds for me to see this disharmony? And I know I've had divisive speech. So now as I mine these things, I really watch my speech so that when this happens, I can go, okay, I planted it, it's ripening, now it's going to go away. And then if I have disharmony at work, I have to also think, where have I said some sarcastic comment to someone? And now that seed has been planted, it's grown, and I'm seeing disharmony in my workplace. So I have to just go back what I'm experiencing and be a detective. I have to be a detective to see what seeds I might have planted that I'm experiencing these results. And, it's progress. I see it as progress. I don't see it as something bad. I see it as something good because I'm noticing what I've done to plant those seeds so that I can stop planting them. And that's part of the four powers, is to stop planting the things that are causing me to have unpleasant results. So that's how I use this system. And because I want to create an environment where I see my workplace being peaceful and my town being peaceful. So if someone yells at me, I want to respond differently. I don't want to respond where I plant more disharmony. Or if someone cuts me off in traffic, I don't want to wave in a rude way. I just want to go, I wish I'd just pulled over and let them go around me in peace, So now, as I'm becoming more aware of this, I'm trying to respond in a more kind way, in a more peaceful way, so that I can experience that in all areas of my world, and even on the news globally. And it begins right here. Right. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say is that the whole world and our whole environment is really a reflection of the seeds we planted. So when we look out at the world around us, it's giving us a view of what work we have to do, and it gives us an opportunity to do coffee meditation when we see good things in the world around us. So I think that's really important to bring it back to that, because we've had a lot of troubles in the world on our mind lately with the virus, and then with the economic problems, and now with people feeling that they aren't being treated fairly, and violence, racial violence. So that's been on our mind. And that was one of the reasons we wanted to talk about the 4 flowers, because did we really create that? Yes, we really did.
Yeah, we did.
We did. But I see so many great things around me. I see people helping each other. I see people getting together to come up with solutions. I see people learning new things, learning DCI ideas, and working to change themselves so that the whole world can be a happier place. So those are things that I can do coffee meditation on at night. So I'm just thinking the whole world is a mirror for us. So when at night, when you lie down in bed to do your coffee meditation, all we have to do is think about, well, what did I see around me today? And that gives you a great place to do coffee meditation. And I like to coffee meditate on some small way that I planted a different kind of seed, so that tomorrow and the next day and the next day, that seed's going to grow and create a better environment for everybody. One of the examples, and then I'm going to have you help us with some final words before we're finished. But one of the examples in level 6 is if you do have an addiction to liquor, and there's alcohol stores on the corner, then should you move away? Should you go try to move to a different place where there is no alcohol store on the corner and get yourself away from that? Well, if you move to a place with no liquor store on the corner, but you don't change your seeds, guess what? The liquor store is going to move in next door, and your next door neighbor is going to be someone who invites you over for a drink all the time. So we can't try to run away from our environment. So in the example in that level 6, peeling off your addictions, it's that if you work on your seeds, the liquor store is going to move away instead of you having to move away. And you're going to be in an environment where people are enjoying healthy ways to get together and have fun. So Janice, can you kind of give us some final wrap-up thoughts about the 4 flowers, the 4x4, anything that you want to add?
Well, yeah. Okay, so we understand that things are coming from us, and we understand the 4 laws of seed. The 4 laws of seed correlate with the 4 coffee stop steps. So if we want something, or if we want to see peace, or we want a good, clean environment, then we start planting the seeds to have that by helping other people have it. And really, I like what Alix said about the coffee meditation. We can do it all day long, because I really believe the more we focus on what's good around us, we're planting more and more seeds for good, and we're starting to change our environment by focusing what's good in our world, by focusing on my neighbor's beautiful garden and his creativity to make it, by focusing on, the good things that my town does. I'm planting more and more seeds to see good in my world, and to see peace in my world, and to really have compassion, develop compassion for those who seem like they're struggling with anger and violence. And, if I have compassion for them and can demonstrate some sort of kindness by offering them kindness, even in their turmoil, just offering them some kindness, it can change conflict into peace. So that's the whole idea behind the environmental ripening of our seeds, is to change it at the ground level. Change the seeds we plant by responding in a kind way. And we'll start seeing kindness more and more often, and other people will start seeing more and more kind things and wanting it themselves. So it's an opportunity as an individual to begin changing our whole world. Thanks, Alix.
Yeah, maybe people could pick one thing in their environment that they would like to work on, because now we've talked about so many things, you might feel overwhelmed. But look around you, pick one thing that's most important to you right now, and see if you can change your environment. That would be amazing. In our next episode, we are going to go into the 5th of the 4x4. No, it's called 4x4. How can we have a 5th set of 4? Well, we do. And it's going to help you understand how to plant seeds even more powerfully. So we really look forward to that. Janice, thanks so much for being here today so that we can do this together. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Alix. And thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode, the 5x4, the 5th of the 5x4.
5x4. See you next time.
Bye.